I think there we are. Hello, everyone. Let's turn that one thing off. What am I hearing? Okay. All right. So we're trying out a new service, honestly. So this isn't my first time streaming, just a heads up about that. But I'm trying out a new software, new site called GoLightstream.com that I learned about at TwitchCon this past year. And we'll see how it goes. So if you all can help us out a little bit and let us know if you can hear things okay, music's coming through fine, the video's coming through smoothly. Dhanish, say something. Let's see if we hear you okay. Okay. Anybody else? Dhanish, I see you in chat. Irvin, Yokoso, Shendi, is cool service. Is it only through webcams? Yeah, so it's using the browser through their website. And then I'm able to send an invite to Dhanish, and he joins up and says, hey, I want to add my camera. I add my camera, all that kind of stuff. JT says, is fine, but your guest is not. Uh-oh. Oh, you got to activate your microphone. Oh, I have to activate your microphone. Hold on. Hey, I'm learning a new service. Very garbled. Very garbled. Okay, JT. Keep telling me. What's up, Yanni? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. What else we got? Who else is in chat? Toefrog says can't hear Dhanish. How are we doing now? Dhanish, try talking.
Can you guys hear me now?
Better. Yep. Okay, cool. All right, well, if all else fails, I could just stop and use OBS like I normally do. Open Broadcasting Software is usually the tool I use, but I wanted to try doing this because you can get quickly and easily many like we can invite other guests on this way with the same way that I invited you. So I want to try this out. Maybe not the best idea for the first Build Up Devs Live, but why not, right? Why not? That's what live streaming is about, trying things out, experimenting and failing. And learning from those.
That mug. Oh, this
Which mug? I have no idea what I'm doing.
Oh, this is by Travis. Should I leave the?
Yeah, go ahead.
Down.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just in developer. So it's yeah.
There we go. There's a link in chat. You see Dhanish's message in there. What else we got? Yeah, 555. Something goat horn thing. Oh yeah, Yanni talking about a Viking mug. Who else we got in here? Fab Coding Zest. Hey, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Anybody else we didn't greet yet? Fishing Dev, good to see you. Can hear much better. Okay, cool. Very good. So if you're not familiar with, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm just saying hello to people. Neha Coates just joined.
Awesome. Welcome, Neha. And Phil Carbo. Rackberg. All right, I think I caught everybody so far. So if you're not familiar with the stream, the way streaming in general, the way I operate is if you're going to be kind enough to send a message in the chat room, I'm going to acknowledge you. So this particular stream is going to be very focused on that, even more so than like the coding streams. If you're new to BuildUpDevs, maybe you're not familiar with it. But those of you that are coming from Instagram, thank you so much for joining us, by the way. Folks from Instagram are used to seeing Dhanish and I go on Instagram lives where we would be like just holding our phones or have a mount or something like that to hold our phones. And we talk about different topics. A lot of times we focus on topics that are like the non-technical aspects of our industry, being a developer, a programmer, an engineer, however you want to describe yourself. We talk about the non-technical side of things with that. So it was fun doing it there. However, Instagram Lives is not really conducive to us, what we want to do with this BuildUpDevs initiative and being live and discussing topics around that initiative. So Dhanish and I have been working diligently on and off between our own other responsibilities, between work and family and whatnot, to keep evolving this thing. And we decided that Twitch will be a better medium for us because we want to save these recordings, which we were attempting to do, but there was a lot of friction, right? Would you agree, Dhanish?
Yeah. In Instagram Live, so I had to screen record everything, then compress it, maybe just extract the audio out for the plans that we had for the podcast, but we haven't gotten around doing that. So hopefully this would be a lot easier just to do that.
Yes, that is definitely the hope here. And like as you can imagine, folks, trying to do all that stuff, screen recording from your phone and all that fun stuff, it's a pain. So we do have recordings from the past lives on Instagram, but they're just not up to par with what we would like, I think, right? Hey, Copperbeard, good to see you. Thank you for joining. So we haven't and the idea is a lot of people gave us feedback, right, Dhanish, that they would like this kind of in a podcast, because what happens with Instagram Live is it only lasts 24 hours if the person that was hosting it decides to post it on their profile there. For those of you that are not familiar with maybe Instagram and how that platform's operating. So because of that, people would miss it. Maybe we were talking about a topic that they wanted to hear what was going on. So anyway, we're here now. It's going to be much easier, and we'll be posting these things. The recordings will be stored here on Twitch under the videos tab that you'll see towards the top of the screen if you're watching on a desktop or a laptop. If you're on mobile, I think you got to tap a couple places to get to it, but you get the idea. And I'll be exporting them to YouTube so we can watch from there as well. You can see past episodes and topics that we discussed on those episodes. They will be focused on being around 60 minutes. That's usually the time frame we would aim for. I mean, that was what we were limited to on Instagram to be live, is to be only for 60 minutes. And I think you can imagine we'll have the edited versions probably cut down to maybe 45 minutes or something like that, And the idea is Dhanish and I will be having a conversation about certain topics, but we're going to be definitely looking to you all in the chat room for your comments and your questions and reading them all out loud, and making sure we're just having a group conversation about these different topics, Shendi says, why is there a blue light in front of you, I guess? So basically, part of this is some of the stuff that happens outside. If you're new to the stream here, check out that new clip that gets dropped by the Stream Elements bot. It's a chat bot that we have in here. If you take a little look at that clip right there, that will tell you a little bit more about this channel. But if you have further questions about it from there, Shendi, let me know. Yanni, the overlay normally switches, right, when I'm streaming from my usual software, OBS on my computer here. But I'm using this new service, golightstream.com, for this particular stream, and that's why it is not changing at this moment in time. But normally it does. So tune in on Wednesdays and Fridays, and you'll see that happen. All right. So the focus for today will be around what is BuildUpDevs. We're going to basically start all over the series like we did on Instagram. So those of you that joined us from Instagram and are familiar with it, you can feel free to chime in your feelings about what BuildUpDevs means to you, how it started, how it had an impact on you maybe, and let us know in the chat, and we'll be happy to share that kind of thing in our conversation. But since we're going to kind of do a podcast out of this, right? All that stuff that we just did, we're going to cut. And we'll do an official start of boom, this is what we're doing. In fact, I might want to turn the music off. Maybe, I don't know. Should we have music in the background? No, we could. I'm thinking most podcasts don't have music, right?
No.
Only in the beginning and the end, right? Okay. All right. So let's stop the music then. Music has been stopped. Thank you for that follow. Ooh, really dactyl? Right, real dactyl? I don't know. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but thank you. All right. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Build Up Devs Live. We're now on Twitch. I am Brian Clark, aka Clarkio, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and good friend, Dhanish. Dhanish, how you doing? Say hello.
Hi, I'm doing fine. This is my first time on Twitch, ever.
Well, welcome to Twitch, my man. I think you're going to love it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to kick off this series by talking about what Build Up Devs is, and how it got started. So I'm going to pose a question actually to you, Dhanish. What is Build Up Devs to you? And then we'll get into the conversation around on that and how it got started.
Okay. So, from my point of view, I've been on Instagram for more than 2 years now, 2.5 years, and my whole experience with social media was through Instagram. I was not active anywhere else before that, and so when I joined with this whole idea of okay, I'm learning how to code and I'm looking for like-minded developers who are also starting at the same time. And hopefully, when I share what I'm learning, I'll get some useful feedback from them, constructive comments, whatever. And if I'm doing something wrong, they'll just let me know. And that was the whole point of it. And it started growing, and I got a lot of followers. And at the same time, I saw the whole dark side of social media, which I had not experienced before, where people were not interested in anything that I was posting, at least most of them, and they were not really interested in helping any other people out. And these were all other developers who were on Instagram just posting their stuff, and this whole idea that they all somehow wanted to be the wannabe influencers and get free stuff, and that was the whole point of everything. And I thought this isn't right. I mean, you could do such a lot more interesting things with it if you just build a community around it. And so that's when I started sharing all the positive things, like let's not use bots, let's just help each other out. Maybe there are some people who are starting out a few, just like last week, for example, and like they need something help just with the basics, and you can just
Yeah.
tell them. You don't have to be like a senior developer just to help other people. You can just be someone starting out, and you've like had like 3 months into it, and the basic stuff that they can help other people out with it. And then that was my whole thing. Like it didn't have a name, and then eventually that when I met you, so that's where the other things happen. So like maybe you can just say what how the builder does is formed.
Sure. So it was a very similar situation for me, although I did not nearly grow as quickly and as well as you did on Instagram, but I joined way after you. Actually, let me back up. So my experience prior to my account now on Instagram was with a personal account. Like it was just it was private. I shared pictures with family and friends, and that was the extent of my use with Instagram. And then I started exploring, and I noticed that there was a developer community. I was like, "There's no way." Well, like what are developers sharing on Instagram? And that's when I started coming across like people are sharing their code, they're sharing their setups, which I love seeing people's setups. But there is also a dark side to that too. But I love seeing people's setups because it's cool. It's inspirational. Like, oh, maybe I can try and work my setup to be a similar layout, that kind of thing. That's kind of what got me a taste of it. Like, I think that's actually where I first discovered the developer community, because then there were some people that were developers that were posting setup type pictures on Instagram
Yeah.
that I found interesting. And then I was like, oh, wait, this person's a developer. And then some of their other posts were like code or whatever. Like, this is what I'm working on, this project. And I was like, okay, this is cool. So then I was like, all right, let me create, because like with most things, I'm like, I'm going to have a public one where I know I'm sending stuff publicly. And I have other ones where I, like it's my private with family and friends kind of thing, close, that kind of thing. So as I'm exploring the developer community and learning about how things are working, what's the culture like here on Instagram within that community, it was mostly great at first, but then I started seeing, like you mentioned, that dark side of things, the negative and kind of like, I don't know, just toxic kind of atmosphere that can happen, which I think can happen on any platform, but I was really
Yeah.
feeling it on Instagram at the time. This was like probably 2.5, 3 years ago. Um,
Yeah.
and it was very much driven around people trying to tear each other down. Like, it was a lot of comparing each other, a lot of kind of little bickering back and forth that you would see in people's Instagram stories. If you're not familiar with Instagram stories, it's just like a quick 15-second, I think it is, right? 15-second
Yeah.
little things that can be posted on people's profile, and you tap and watch. It's supposed to be like give you in the moment kind of like, this is what's happening with that person on their account. And through those, though, people would kind of like, have these little back and forths a little bit sometimes, or even in comments to people's posts, right? And I was like, this
Yeah.
is not great. Like, I'm not, like, it makes you feel terrible inside, kind of like, what is going on here? Why are people treating each other this way? And so I was like, well, what's the opposite of trying to tear each other down? That would be, let's build each other up, right? And this is something that I was dealing with internally too. Like, I was going through a certain time frame where I was just like feeling kind of depressed, honestly, because of this kind of stuff going on, and just like work related stuff and just life in the moment there. And then I like, luckily, through some help and guidance from outside influences, I kind of started working on changing my mindset. I'm still actively doing this. So it's not like I don't have the right, not like at a point where I feel like I've hit the perfect mindset and feeling and how I approach things, but it's something I'm still working on, where I just have a positive mindset and a growth mindset too. Like, I'm always learning, always building, right? And so once I made that switch, I was like, okay, how can we focus on, instead of comparing each other and trying to tear each other down, let's look at that other person and be like, you know what, I'm happy for them that they made that achievement that they posted about and shared with us, right? And I shouldn't be jealous of that. I should be like, wow, that person was able to do it. That means it's something that can be accomplished. And if I work hard enough and put in and focus on myself and what I can do to achieve that goal, then I can potentially do that as well, right? So that's just like kind of the core of it. What's up, Travis? Good to see you. And so that's where the name kind of came from. Instead of tearing each other down, let's build each other up. And that just seemed to resonate with people, right? I mean, because of like the atmosphere that at the time I stepped on the dog toy. The atmosphere at the time was very like kind of toxic, or leaning in that toxic direction. And I think a lot of people kind of latched on to this whole idea of like, here's something that has like a name to it that is focused on positive and positivity, you know?
Yeah.
So cool. So those of you in chat, we'd love to hear from you. Those of you that are familiar with the Build Up Devs and all that fun stuff, let us know like how you came across it, or what happened that you felt the feeling. Or let me cut that out. But let us know. I don't know why I'm fumbling right now. Like, I'm so used to streaming on Twitch, but for this, I'm like a little nervous.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going on to me right now.
We have some people from Instagram, and maybe that's why. Just kind of nervous.
Maybe. Yeah.
And
Y'all are
just
making me nervous now.
Oh, this is the Travis's mug.
Yeah.
I hope you can see it.
Yeah, we plugged your site earlier, Travis, by the way, because somebody was asking about Dhanish's mug. So cool. Welcome. Happy to have you here, man. So yeah, Build Up Devs. Let us know how you came across it as we keep chatting about it more. But yeah, so then it turned into like, all right, the idea was, right, how do we combat this whole tearing each other down? And it was the action I came up with, right? Because it's nice to have like, oh yeah, this Build Up Devs thing, it's about focusing on positivity, la la la, like, let's all just be nice to each other, right? But what are some actions you can take to actually, work towards that? And so I posted, and I think I'm gonna look on the app right now. I want to see how long ago it was now. I have a story on my profile that's highlighted called Build Up Devs. It says 91 weeks ago. It's a long time. And I was just like, I'm sitting there in my pajamas, and I'm like telling people, hey, this is how we're going to build each other up. We're going to go, and instead of scrolling through our feeds and just, blindly liking things just to get attention to ourselves. Let's actually read somebody's post, right? See if it interests us. Maybe it's something they're doing or they're saying that they're doing resonates with us and you can relate to that, right? And leave a meaningful comment that helps encourage them or it's just positive and makes them feel better, right? Or just contributes to their whole situation that they're sharing with you, right? Somebody's opening themselves up kind of thing. And they're saying, hey, this is what happened with me with my development journey, right? And that's what seems to be a lot of people's thing on Instagram. I'm sharing my journey as a developer, right? So like help them, contribute to that, have a conversation with them, leave something, and then just put the hashtag BuildUpDevs on there. And then that turned into more, I think, today, where it's kind of, in my mind, it spiraled a little bit out of control at this point, way beyond I ever imagined. So that's interesting, but we can talk about that a bit too. So, yeah, anybody in chat? Rudix World says, came across what? I don't recall what I was discussing at that point in time. Came across, I don't know. Can you elaborate on what that's in reference to, Rudix? But thank you for joining and thank you for your message. Copybeardy says, to be honest, I only know it through this stream as I don't use Instagram, but what you say, I am certainly behind. Build people up rather than ripping them down. Yeah, absolutely. Michael Jolly, what's up, man? Good to see you. Michael Jolly says, I'm sitting here all quiet waiting to be announced, but the bot is apparently turned off and for good reason considering our topic today. Yes, that is true. Copybeardy says, you were on about BuildUpDevs. Yes. Yeah, so I came across people just being negative and tearing each other down. There was like bickering kind of stuff where people were poking at each other through Instagram stories, or they were just leaving just nasty comments on people's posts, that kind of thing. And I'm not here to like call anybody out or anything either. In fact, it's at the point, I mean, that was 91 weeks ago. I don't remember what it was about or what in like a specific concrete example I would have to share with you. But you know what I'm talking about. It happens on any platform, any social media platform.
I remember.
Dhanish, you had something there? Yeah.
But rather than just saying what happened, I can just talk in general. That sometimes you see people just post negative or reply negative comments especially to women talking about sexism or people of color talking about racism, and it's just people expressing their opinions, and it's fine. But sometimes people take it too far, and that's what it blows up, and then we have other people just pitching in, and just after a few minutes you see these people just posting stories on their Instagram, tagging these accounts saying, hey, blah blah blah, they were trying to just call me out or just tear me down, whatever, insult me, blah, blah. And it takes a toll on people. So that's basically what happened, and there was something that was going on, and then we were just trying to calm everyone down with BuildUpDevs, like, this is not called for, no need to do any of these things, and you can just leave people to themselves. I mean, yes, they said something, just don't react to it. I mean, that's the thing you should do these days. Like, it can just happen on any platform. It just happened to me on Twitter like yesterday.
Oh yeah.
There's a parody account called a Tweet of God, and like there's like millions of followers there, and and he just posted just a joke, like, fuck this shit, I'm tired of it, as a god. The person who's behind it I just joined in with the joke, like, hey, can we just reboot the earth god? That's it. And then out of nowhere, like, I woke up this morning with like 100 notifications with the Trump 2020 trolls and the conservatives and the liberals, and it's random things, just you cannot even think about it.
Oh,
And
wow.
I had to delete my own tweet, like, this was just a joke, just calm down.
Yeah, there's a lot of yeah, I think you hit it spot on. There's a lot of that knee-jerk reaction to things right away instead of, but it's also tough though. Like, think about, like, and this is the other thing I try to express a lot too. I try my best to back up, Brian. You can use your words. I try my best to look at it from the other perspectives too, right? So sometimes, and it happens to all of us on whatever side of a conversation you're on, where you read something in text format, right? Unless we're like this, virtually engaging and having a conversation, or in person, right? in text format, you lose a lot of the tone and context of what somebody's saying, right? So when people see that, joke that was intended to be a joke online, they take it as literal, and they're like, how could you say something like that? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or like maybe that's something that they would say to friends or family or something like that, because they all like have a similar understanding or approach to life, right? In terms of their values and whatnot. Whereas like people don't agree with that necessarily. And so maybe, that's something that we don't necessarily talk about. You don't say like out loud because, you might, offend somebody or something like that. But even in that case, like the other thing is like the internet, we're still learning and evolving and like getting an understanding that like people are going to have their opinions. We can't just react, like you said, react to them just because you disagree with them and try to tear them down because of it. Like, yeah, you may feel they're wrong and that's fine. But like something like you may feel it's wrong to joke about whatever, right? In this case, it was like religion, it seems like.
Yeah.
So, and like some people are very religious and good, good. That's fine. But it also doesn't mean everybody has to follow what those people believe in at that point, right? That level. Like if there's something where it's like it's black and white in the terms of like whether it's right or wrong, then I understand that. But I don't know. I mean, it kind of gets into a gray area with all that. In any case, the point I'm making is trying to get a better understanding of where people are coming from on either side of a situation like that, and be like, you know what, maybe I need to reevaluate a little bit. Maybe I take this and I learn from it and move on, kind of thing, right? And that's what I'm really trying to work on. I'm still struggling with that, to be honest. And yeah. Anyway, so I just thought I'd share that. And I know you're working on that kind of stuff too. So I'm not trying to, say you aren't, but like that's a rough thing to wake up to in the day, in the morning.
Yeah.
I saw some messages come up in chat. We had Copper says you're on about that. Travis says, I love the Build Up Devs idea, as Instagram can be toxic place for sure. I've had to take many breaks from it, but if you follow the right people, it can be a great community. Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit that spot on there, Travis. And that's kind of what, Build Up Devs really sparked from. Fab Coding says, I stumbled upon the niche account from some story from my personal account. At that time, I didn't know anything, followed the niche and few other devs. And at the start of March 2019, created another account to join the community. It's been 8 months, and so far, the community is great and helpful. I am so happy to hear that you've had that experience, Fab Coding, and we are happy to have you part of the developer community on Instagram and on the web, really, at all. Rudik says Stack Overflow is not toxic. I don't know if you're saying that like jokingly or seriously, and this is another one of those situations where I don't know, because I've seen Stack Overflow be pretty toxic, and I keep reading posts actually from people saying that it has since been like oversaturated with questions and answers, and there's become this culture of like immediately shutting people down that have questions nowadays. So I don't know if maybe you just had a different experience, Rudik's World, or if you're joking around. So if you could feel free to elaborate in the chat. But yeah, that's an interesting one there too as well. So let's talk a little bit more about Build Up Devs as well. We have now been evolving it to where we have a website, buildupdevs.com. We're kind of slowly, haven't made too much progress. My fault, the niche. I know you've been doing some stuff for it.
Yeah.
And but we would love to have the community. If you're out there and you're interested in contributing and collaborating with us on the website, hit us up on Instagram or whatever platform is best for you. And we'd be happy to have you join in on it with us to get things squared away with that. Hey, what's up, Lucky Number 7? Good to see you. Thank you for joining, man. All right. So we talked about how Build Up Devs started. Let's talk a little bit more about like what else kind of contributed to the whole idea too. Like on Instagram, the other aspect that was negative I found is that a lot of people were using bots. Now you might think, well, bots, what's the big deal, Brian? You use a bot. I use a chat bot for the stream here. Well, the way that bots get used a lot on Instagram is to automate like human interaction things. And it's majority of the time, and I would almost venture to say 100% of the time, the bots that are used on Instagram are for selfish reasons. Their motivation behind using a bot on Instagram is to draw attention to oneself, to your own account in an unauthentic way, to pretend like it's you that's interacting with these other people in the community, but instead they're dealing with just an automated thing that's triggering a notification or some type of way of alerting that other person in the community that, hey, so-and-so that's using the bot, you don't know this necessarily right off the bat, has done this on your account. They liked your account or they posted a comment, that kind of thing, right? And what would happen, and things that would, the telltale signs that somebody's using those is you'll see they will post comments. They'll create, the way the bots work is they create a canned list of like common comments that they would use to post and reply to people's posts, right? And so you'd see like this, I really like your content. Great job. Keep it up. Like, and not have full context of what the post is about. Like somebody might be posting something very sad and depressing that happened, and then there's a bot going, hey, great job, keep it up. Like not like there is no, you can tell it's a bot that's doing that kind of thing. The other thing that people do that I don't know if it's so prevalent anymore, because Instagram has been better over the years about cracking down on the bot behavior type things that are polluting the platform. But they would just have them go as many posts in a certain hashtag as possible, without really looking at the post or understanding. Like likes to me are meaningless. Oh, excuse me. Likes to me are meaningless on Instagram, because everybody just kind of, either humans will just scroll through their feed and they just double tap to like on Instagram, or it's a bot that goes through and finds a bunch of posts that are related to a topic that you're within your community and likes them, right? Have you seen a lot of that as well, Dhanish, with the bots?
Not lately, because I have my public comments off, so the bots cannot leave any. Because usually the bots don't follow you, uh, especially the ones that leave comments like that. It's only the public comments they can do that. And the other way the bots work is, they just follow you and then they unfollow you after a while. So that's how they get attention. And then once the account follows them, they just unfollow it. And so you can see accounts like growing like 10,000 or 20,000 followers like in no time. So yeah, that was that. Rudix World says how Instagram is related to the dev community.
How is Instagram related? Well, I imagine then, Rudix, that you are not on Instagram. But what ends up happening is a lot of people will post they'll post their code samples to like explain like, hey, this is what I'm working on. They're just kind of sharing what they're doing, their experience. I mean, that's how I came across Dhanish, actually, was I saw that he was posting about a project. Well, he did a lot of CSS stuff, right? That's what you were doing back in the day. So I was learning some things there, and I'm still terrible to this day with CSS, but I digress. And he was posting a lot about that as he was learning about CSS. What else was that? Something. Oh, the project that actually got me introduced to you was the VS Code icons project that you created, where you, those of you, if you're not, do you have a link to it that you can maybe share in chat?
I can quickly find out.
And we'll make sure to post these in the show notes as well. Basically, it lets you create your own, instead of using the default icon like in your status bar or in the dock if you're on Mac, that kind of thing. You can customize it to whatever color scheme you want. Although it might have changed now, right? You had to update it with the new VS Code icon.
Yeah, I haven't.
We probably have to recreate all those custom icons.
Gotten around doing that, but yeah, I will soon update them.
Yeah. So anyway, that's. Oh, go ahead.
I was just like trying to explain what Rudix World, that there is a big community of developers on Instagram who have been sharing their code samples and projects, and it's just mostly visual stuff, setups, etc. So we all came from there, me, Brian, and that's how we met 2 years ago. So apart from the surfacey stuff with with the influencing and the bots, there are some genuine people who are just trying to share what they're working on, and then people comment and just help them out and get feedback. So there is a dev community on Instagram. Maybe you should check it out sometimes.
Yeah, if you're interested. If not, no big deal. Because I mean, it's definitely, depending on where you're at, sometimes being in too many social media platforms can be taxing on you, right? All right, let's catch up on chat a little bit, actually. So Pranav says, Clarkio, thanks for introducing me to the dev community on Instagram. Hey, no problem, Pranav. I'm glad to hear that. And thanks for being here today, man. Cabrera says, you get toxic comments and environments everywhere. It's a shame that people think that the anonymity, the web, gives them license to rip on other people. Yes. But I think the core of that, Copperbeardy, is that person that's feeling the need to go and do that kind of thing, something's going on in their life that's driving them to want to bring other people down to make them feel like themselves, right? And we need to flip that. And that's kind of, again, like there's so many different like aspects and facets to this whole idea that around Build Up Devs, if I'm being honest with you all, like it's not just one thing. I mean, it's all kind of focused around helping each other, right? And having a positive impact on the community. But like there's so many different ways that we need to use that to help other people, right? So in that case where people are being toxic and they feel they have a license to rip on other people, it's probably stemmed from something more, you know, deep rooted within their experience and their personality and what's happened to them, that's driving them to want to do that. And like we need to somehow figure out ways to get to the core of that and not immediately just be like, hey, shut you down and shun you because you're being toxic, unless there is no getting through that person, right? If you've tried over and over again in many different ways, at that point, then I'm like, you know what? I don't know what you want to do. But when you come to realization that, you know, we want to be more positive and be helpful to each other, then, you know, reach back out kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Anything to add to that, Dhanish?
No. I was just reading the other comment. A musical bookworm. Is it worth joining Instagram to connect with other developers?
I think it can be. I think there's a lot of positive aspects to it. But it's at the same time, I want to make sure everybody is aware too, like to proceed with caution with that too, because again, this happens on any social media platform where it can lead to just negative things in general, right? It just may make you feel depressed or unhappy, or it might be discouraging. So if you start seeing, let's say you pop in there on Instagram, if you start seeing that kind of happening, then definitely, and this happens a lot to all of us, where we just take a break or just cut out completely from Instagram. I know, Dhanish, you just did that recently as well, right?
Yeah, I just went off for 2 weeks. Yeah.
And you find that like you just, it's helpful. Like what's been the experience when you do that?
It's really helpful because like, yeah, you get distracted and then you just have the need to just scroll random pictures and there's not really happening that much lately. 2 years ago, it was a different thing. And now it's gotten very saturated where you have so many people starting their accounts and they're all trying to share what they are learning.
Getting rated. Dance. This guy's dance, Denise. Come on, man.
I'm no dancer. But you can do it for me. Yeah, so I was saying, what was I saying?
All right. Well, are you familiar with raids, Dhanish?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Let's pause on that for a second. We'll get back to what you're saying. I want to get you familiar with Twitch and the Twitch culture a little bit. And some people that might be joining us from Instagram, they might not be familiar with it either. So what happens is another streamer.
Heck.
Hey, what's up, Robert Tables? Good to see you, man. Another streamer might take, they're streaming and they're doing their thing. They're doing kind of what we're doing right now. And then they basically will take all their viewers and they can go raid somebody else. They can send them over to, hey, what's up, Elkin Forest? They can send them all over to another stream to like show support and you know, love to other streamers here in the community. So thank you so much, Pixelogic. That's cool of you. And welcome everybody from Pixelogic stream. There you go. I mean, the sound effects are kind of working actually.
Wow.
Do you hear them, Dhanish?
I heard nothing. Just
No,
your voice.
there's fart noises, there's heck, there's all kinds of stuff that I'm hearing in my ears, and I think the stream is, but you're not. I'll have to figure out a way to do that through this service. So a couple things to clue you all in that might be new to the stream. First of all, check out this clip right here.
I like turtles.
I like turtles too, Freckberg. And that clip will get you mostly familiar, but today we're starting a new series that we were originally doing on Instagram. Dhanish and I is called Build Up Devs Live. If you cut back to the beginning of this video recording over in the videos on Twitch, you'll get a better understanding of what it means and what it's about. And basically, it's turning into a weekly show that we do for about an hour from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern. And we will be cutting it into podcasts and that kind of stuff. So that raid stuff probably will be cut out. But your questions and comments in the chat will not be, because we will be responding to all of them. So we have a lot to catch up on. But before we do that, and thanks again, Pixelogic, and thanks everybody that joined from Pixelogic's raid. Welcome. Hope you like what you see. If not, have a good rest of your day and week. And thanks for popping in. So, Dhanish, you were saying when you took the break from Instagram, how that had an impact on everything for you, like your mental health and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, so I had to literally delete the app and just stop myself from opening the app every now and then. And it was kind of relaxing. I could just, like, I read books the whole time. And to be honest, there's nothing happening on Instagram while you are away. You just have
Yeah.
that fear of missing out, as you do on other platforms too. There's really nothing happening.
Yeah.
And I recommend it to everyone who like is just gotten stressed and tired of social media. Just like take a few weeks off. You'll feel much better when you come back, and a lot more in control of how we use social media,
Mm-hmm.
rather than just mindlessly scrolling every now and then.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I found as well this, like, there are times where I just need to do like a cleansing of all social media and even technology to some degree. I haven't gotten to the point where I would delete. Well, I deleted like Twitter off my phone because I would do that a lot, and it's been fantastic having Twitter off. Instagram is harder to do because you can't like Twitter. I could still stay connected by just going to a browser or something and logging in that way. But Instagram, you can't really go to. It's still not meant to be used. At least it's not well used on a browser, so I have to use the app that way. It's the only way to stay connected. But yeah, man, I mean, cutting out that toxicity, and just like if you find yourself going in that direction, where you're just like you said, that mindlessly scrolling, right? You get this. It's basically to fill a void of like, hey, there's nothing going on. I'm kind of bored, or I'm using it as a means to distract myself. Let me just go scroll through Twitter. Let me just go scroll through Instagram. And it's like, we don't need to do that. Maybe we can find something more meaningful IRL in real life to do, instead of letting that moment of boredom kind of lead us to mindlessly scrolling, like you said.
yeah.
All right, let's catch up. We have a lot to catch up on chat now. So I'm going to go back. So folks that just sent messages, we'll catch up with you in just a second. But this is one thing, while I'm scrolling back up in the chat, I want you all to know, those of you that are new and maybe still sticking around, chat here is the highest priority. So if you're kind enough to spend time with us, we want to show respect back to you when you send a message. If I miss your message and please don't feel like you're being ignored. That is not my intention and not Dhanish's intention. It's just that sometimes things get a little unwieldy. And so feel free to just send it again. And if you use the @ symbol, like if you @ Clarkio or you @ Dhanish Gajjar, I paused there because I'm like, I don't know if I pronounced it. I know I'm getting better at pronouncing your first name, but your last name, I probably have some work to do.
That's fine.
So
Just use my
okay. If you do @ Dhanish's account, then it'll highlight in red. It should highlight in red for you as well, Dhanish. And we'll see it way better. All right. So going back, last we left off was Copperbeardy's comments. So Travis was saying, love those bot comments. This picture is lovely. Yes, absolutely. It happens a lot on Instagram. Rudix World says, how's Instagram related to the dev community? Dhanish, you addressed that already. Fab Coding says, yep, the repetitive bot comments. This video is great. I mean, dude, it's a picture, for God's sake. Yeah. It's not even a video. Silly bot. Pranav says, that's going to be so depressing. I don't know. I forget what that was in context to Pranav. So sorry about that. Travis says, the accounts that follow 7,500 is a quick signal of a bot account. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So let's pause there, because that leads me to another topic as well, where again, it's about the motivation but behind people that are doing that kind of stuff, right? If you get involved, I've had people reach out, especially early on, when and even to this day, I guess to some degree, where they'll be like, hey, I'll follow you, you follow me. It's like, well, that's nice and all, like that you're offering that, but like the motive behind that is selfish, right? They just want to draw the attention to oneself and get like with the bots, right? The bots will follow and they make sure that other person follows back. And then they'll wait a little while later so that person forgets about that account. right? It's just a scheme, and then they
Yeah.
unfollow them. It's this sleazy scheme just to gain attention to oneself. It's very selfish, self-centered, right? You really like if you're going to be on here, like all social media is about community and connecting with people. Like, why do we want to fake that? And I think what ends up happening is people, like you were talking about earlier in the stream, Dhanish, people want to, I don't know, become celebrities. They want to make deals with sponsors and get free stuff on Instagram. Most of the time, this is very targeted Instagram. That's where this whole thing came from. But it can happen on any platform, and that's kind of like the goal. But like if you're going for that goal, you really want people that actually are invested in you to be followed. You want genuine connection, even if you're going for that type of thing where you want to become famous or you want to get sponsors and that kind of stuff. Like sponsors want, like the reason why they do that is because they want to get genuine exposure of their product in a meaningful way that's authentic. I mean, that's the whole purpose of a lot of this social media stuff is like connecting people, connecting with people, human to human interaction. If we're using bots or these schemes to kind of fake that, then that totally degrades the experience. That takes away from it all. And so the moral of that story is like, don't get involved with the follow thing. Or if you've done it in the past, I hope you can realize, like, self-reflect and be like, what was your true motive of doing that, right? And realize that you want people to follow you because they want to follow you. It's one thing to get exposure, right? So that people can understand what's going on. But when you get into that little like contract kind of scheme, they're just following because they're like, oh, well, then I'll get a follower back. And we both want to do the same thing so we can, have a mutual agreement to follow each other for that, And I feel like, and to go deeper on, I do want to hear your thoughts, Dhanish. I'm sorry, but I'm getting riled up with this, and the coffee's kicking in, man. I'm all hyped up. Man, I lost my train of thought.
Follow for follow.
The follow for follow thing. What was I thinking with that? Oh, there's the thing I struggle with sometimes is like there's people that I like that I've connected with the community, but I feel bad not following them because I'm like, we're becoming friendly, right? But the thing is, like, if they're not producing content or posts or things that are of interest to me, then I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? Like, you have to do something like that to make it interesting. Like, it's something I'm struggling with, honestly, even like on all the platforms where it's people I know or I work with, but they're not posting things that are interesting to me, or and there's nothing against them. I like them a lot, like I'm becoming friendly with them and I'm getting to know them, but what they're posting is just not at the, you know what I mean? You ever experience that a little bit with social media, Dhanish?
No, not really. I mean, I don't follow anyone in particular who's not producing content. Uh, but I have followed like many people on Instagram that who stopped posting altogether. But I'm still connected and following them, but we don't interact at all.
Yeah. Well, so in that case, like in my mind, like then what's the point of the whole situation of following, right? Because like a lot of what we're doing, right? When we're purposefully scrolling through things to find something interesting and connect with people, you want stuff to be things that are of your interests to show up in there. Like if somebody's posting about, I don't know, what's something I'm really not, underwater basket weaving, right? I'm not really into that. I mean, it might be kind of, maybe a little refreshing to see that in my feed at some point, but I'm not gonna, like I might know that person in person, like, or maybe it's a family member too, right? Well, actually, if it's a family member, I probably would follow just to follow. I don't know. Like, I want to hear your thoughts, chat. What are your, like, I'm torn on this, honestly. I could go either way. And so I've been struggling with it a bit where I'm like, should I follow? Should I not follow? Like, I like them, but the content that they're putting out is just not really something I'm interested in, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, let me know in chat, and then I'll catch up on chat from you all because I'm still way behind. Copperbeardy said, CSS, oh, give me some cakes to console myself. I'm so bad at using it. I'm with you on that one, Copperbeardy. Musical Bookworm, good to see you. Says, you addressed that already, Dhanish. Robert Table says, happy Thursday, Clark. Happy Thursday to you as well. Robert Tables, good to see you. Pick Rudix World says, with devs, the thing is, who has better skills than there is toxicity these days. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Rudix World. I think a lot of it is ego, right? that happens. There's a lot of ego involved with the developer community. And I think we need to work on and learn how we can put that ego in check and realize that it's not about trying to compete with each other. I mean, there's certain situations where, it's a friendly competition where maybe you're vying for a position that somebody else is trying to go for. And, in that case, you want to prove your experience might be of more value to the company at that point in time, right? But like in most cases, like there's no reason to be comparing ourselves in a bad way between each other, that kind of thing, right? Pixelogic's raid says, and Pixelogic says, dance. I always dance when the raid comes in. Pranav says, I think it's worth it to be on Instagram and join dev community there. And I get to know about many resources from there and get to know some awesome people. I think, yeah, there's definitely a lot of positives that can come out of it, Pranav, and I'm glad to see that you've had that experience there. Copper says, situations when someone is being toxic, people need to avoid that knee-jerk reaction to have a go at that person, and it just spirals into a super toxic thread. Yes, and I feel like that's just the trend nowadays, right? I mean, what the downside of that, the real like unfortunate situation with that is I think a lot of things that are more meaningful that we could put our efforts into discussing and having a constructive kind of conversation and discussion around get lost because there's just this wave of that kind of stuff happening that gets people to ignore the real situation. And I think, in my opinion, that's just really unfortunate. More in chat, and Dhanish, feel free to chime in with that stuff too.
Sure.
I'm up to Travis's message. I think breaks are very important for mental health. I am on a somewhat 3-month break. Nice, man. Yeah, that's good. 3 months is a good amount of time too. Yeah. Robert Tips says, just wait till Mike Jolly comes in at the perfect time, of course. Yeah. Well, I had the sound effects on, but then I had to turn them off. So, Fab Coding says, the negative aspects also depends on the content or people you follow, as well as your own mindset, like how you take things and you focus on positive or negative stuff. Yes, absolutely, Fab Coding. You hit that spot on. Robert Tips says, only Clarkio hears them. This is a self-troll. Yeah. Yeah, the sound effects were only coming to my ears. I'm doing, so those of you that are familiar with the stream and maybe popped in a little late, I'm using a new service today. It's golightstream.com to try out. And so that's why things might be a little rough around the edges from what you usually see here. But I think it was worth a try. It's a learning experience. It seems to be working all right. How are things on your end with this, Dhanish?
Yeah, it's all good on this side.
Pranav says, oh, awesome podcast. Yeah, we're going to try and convert this into a podcast for real this time. It's going to be much easier. Travis says, I deleted both Instagram and Twitter since July and just downloaded both a week or so ago. I feel like I didn't miss anything and I'm much happier. I now limit it to 20 minutes a day or so. Nice. Do you so speaking of that, limiting your time on applications, there's a lot of tools, especially on iOS nowadays, that help you with that. Do you use some of those, Dhanish? Can you talk about those?
I tried, but I didn't use them.
No.
I think it's much better to if you train yourself, because when you do that, when you turn them on, you'll do it more. Like if you limit the apps, the next time you're on, you just try disabling it, and you just try to somehow extend the limit, and just find new ways to do it. And just train yourself to not use them that much.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a very good point, man.
I think someone gave a good example. Like these kind of tools are like nice to have if you're really strict with yourself, but it's like just if for the people who smoke, like it's just like don't smoke the Marlboro Reds. Just try the light ones.
Yeah,
they're just equally bad. There's nothing as a light cigarette. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that those are all great points. I think maybe that's why I haven't used them either. I was hoping you might have so that you could share your experience with it, but I haven't used them really either. The one thing that I do find helpful is the weekly time summaries that we get. I have that, and it notifies me. It's like, hey, this is your week. Your past week, how you did with how many times did you pick up the phone, how much time did you spend on average and on the phone in general, or even in each app. And that is very having that kind of information, because you don't realize it. Like without knowing and having something tracking that, you don't realize how much time you're actually spending, right? Because like you said before, it's a lot of the times it's mindless. You're just
Yeah.
doing it to do it, to fill a void. And so having something, the data in front of you is like very eye-opening. Like, whoa, I spent 40 hours on Instagram this week. I'm just kidding. I'm exaggerating there, but like, that's crazy. Why would I do that? That's way too much time. You know, I mean, unless that's your job or something. I don't know. But like,
Yeah.
for those of us that are casually using, right? All right. So Fab Coding says, yep, sometimes people think they are bound to follow a person having good number of followers and all those things. Even I felt that, but sometimes you need to cut off toxic people no matter how famous they are. Yeah, I'm with you. Hey, what's up, Adnino? Good to see you. Caught your message there. Cup Beardy says, I had someone come into my stream and ask, ask, if you follow and watch me, I will do the same for you. Yes, that's happened. That happens quite a bit. I'm with you on that one. Landon says, I will unfollow someone if they don't push content or I don't like the content. It's my timeline. So if I don't like it, then I can change it. Yes. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Landon. That's kind of like the line I'm trying to draw is like, but at the same time, I also, and maybe this is just me, I'm terrible about this where I overanalyze things like to a fault, like not just with technology, but with like my family relationships, with work relationship stuff, with anything that I'm doing, I overanalyze the heck out of it. And yeah, maybe I'm just doing that here. What do you think? Am I just doing that, Dhanish? Am I overanalyzing things?
Yeah, maybe sometimes.
That's the nice answer. He means heck yes, Brian. Let it go and just do your thing.
Yeah. I don't think
Do you
so
ever,
much. Yeah.
do you find yourself overanalyzing things? Like, do you have that a little bit of that aspect in your personality?
I have these moments of what's the right word? Dilemma
Mm-hmm.
or dilemma, how would you say it? That I question things sometimes. Should I block this person or should I not interact with them anymore? But we connected like 2 years ago, and like we still had like a lot of history. We've gone back and forth. We've talked many times, and I don't like what they're doing now. But how do I say that? I I
Yeah.
I, I don't like confrontation. That's my problem. So
Yeah.
so I often have that, and I overanalyze around those times. Like, oh, what should I do now?
Yeah. I don't like confrontation either, man. And like
Yeah,
I do my best to avoid it a lot of times too. And really, and the thing that's tough about that is because a lot of times it's just better to kind of work through that in a way as best as possible, because avoiding it, the confrontation ends up like not solving things or getting anything done, right?
yeah,
Wow, we are getting really deep here today. Musical Bookworm says, I'll follow someone who only posts occasionally as long as what they post is stuff I'm interested in. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm not great about posting consistently on social media myself, says Musical Bookworm, but I'm quick to unfollow if someone's posts start getting toxic. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I agree completely. That's a good way to approach it. Ben Greenier, thank you for the host, my man. Landon says as well, it's good to clean up who you follow every so often, increase signal and reduce noise. Yes, I think that's the big thing that I have this dilemma on is I am concerned with like the keeping the relationship and like whether that person that I might know or I've had interacted with before is like why isn't Brian following me? Like what did I do? You know what I mean? And that's what I'm worried about. But I'm also at the same time I'm trying to balance like, well, I want my feed to not be noisy necessarily. I want it to be what I would like to get out of this platform, right? On Twitter, on Instagram, on whatever. And so, like, if I follow somebody, even just to follow them because I'm friends with them or I know them, that kind of thing, but they're producing content or not producing content, maybe, then it'll make more noise, right? That just
yeah,
there's just as much as we don't want to necessarily recognize or realize it, but there's this like cognitive overhead when you just have things coming through your feed that just like are meaningless. You know what I mean? That don't add up to what you want to get benefit out of, right?
yeah.
Elkin says, if you want to know, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I've been we can now mute on Instagram stories and feed.
Yeah.
Uh, that's a nice handy feature to have.
You know, that's a great point, actually. I forgot about that. That is super handy. That solves a lot of the dilemma. Wow.
Yeah.
Do we have that on Instagram too to some degree, or
Yeah.
is it just blocked?
No,
I know
you
you can
can
mute. You could hide stories, right?
also main feed posts. You can mute the whole account without unfollowing.
Ah, okay, okay. Elkin Forest says, if you want to know what real toxicity is, go play League of Legends. Toxicity from forums is child's play after that. Ooh, I guess it's a good thing I've never really gotten into League of Legends then, huh? Ren says, are there any differences in getting a job if I do a degree abroad and local? Well, this is a good question, I think, for us that we generally field. It's a little bit off topic, but we still appreciate you chatting with us, and we would be happy to answer it. So do you have any thoughts on that,
Yeah,
Dhanish?
we have done like the whole live on degrees versus self-taught on
Yes.
Instagram. So in my experience, I have a degree, but it's not in computers or computer science whatsoever. It's in economics, and
Mhm.
I was just doing it just for the sake of getting a degree. I had no plans whatsoever to get a job with it or study further because I was always on the computers on the side, and whatever I know so far, the skills I have in like for the last 15 years now, design, 3D, programming, whatever, it's all self-taught.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got a job. And I know, well, like I know many people who are like in big companies who have gotten these jobs without them needing a degree to just because the skills matter now. I mean, many people are not asking for degrees anymore, so there's no difference that you'll be selected just with the degree. I mean, the skills matter in the end, even if you have a degree or not.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's been what I've seen too. So my background as well, I have a degree. I knew that I wanted to get into programming. So I was just fortunate in a situation where I got a little bit of exposure to programming at a young age, and just was, um, absorbed by computers really, like my interests. And and so it just so happened to work. But like I see a lot of people, some of the best programmers I've met and worked with are just self-taught, or you know what I mean, like they some of them didn't even go to the route of getting a degree. They just finished high school, and they were like throughout high school and shortly after that they just kept building up their skills, getting that practical experience, and that has been good enough for them to land jobs at big companies too. And we're seeing it more. Like there was an announcement earlier this year or maybe last year, I forget when it exactly happened, where a lot of the big companies are saying, hey, we're no longer going to require you to have a degree, like a
Yeah,
bachelor's degree at least, to apply. So they're removing that barrier to entry within this industry. But that's not to say, like, if you're going to be a doctor, right? You should probably go to. You should definitely. I don't want to say probably because I don't want that doctor that didn't go to college to be my doctor.
yeah,
But if you're going to be a doctor, you got to kind of go through. I keep saying these. That's my tendency. I say kind of like kinda, maybe. You have to go through college to
yeah,
go and work in that profession. In this one, we're seeing more and more that's not the case, because you can still be very good at the job, uh, and and not have it for your degree. So I think you should weigh, Ren. The answer I think for you really is you need to weigh, because I think you're worried about going abroad or local. I think you should really take a step back even before that and weigh whether, what's the cost going to be versus what you truly want to do. Are you definitely sure? That's the other aspect of this, right? A lot of people go get a degree in one field and end up landing in another field, right? So you might feel like programming is your thing, but have you gotten that practical experience a little bit? Have you had some more exposure to know like this can be a lifelong career for me? I would make sure of that first, and then decide. Okay, knowing the atmosphere and the environment nowadays in the industry for hiring and getting a job, uh, is it going to be cost effective for me? Meaning, like the cost of going to school for 4 years, whatever the school you go to, and their credit hour rate that they have, is that going to be something that's worthwhile, um, compared to where I'm going to land out of it? Is it really going to give me a leg up anymore to get a job? It may, depending on where you are in the world, right? Too, and where you're trying to
mhm.
work. So you got to keep those things into consideration. Copper Beardy says, this is great. I will catch future episodes. Have a great day, all. All right, Copper Beardy, have a good one. Thank you for joining us, man. Travis says, I do use the time blocking thing in iOS, and I do find it helpful for the most part, but I have for sure at times extended the time, but it works for me. Okay, cool. Yashu, good to see you. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Travis says, you can mute someone on Instagram if you really don't want them to know you unfollowed them, but their posts no longer show on your. Yes. You know what I have noticed about that actually? And so I'm starting to recall that I have done that. Is sometimes though, like if you follow a hashtag, like I on Instagram, I follow the BuildUpDevs hashtag. And interestingly, I'll see people's posts that I had muted show up in that hashtag. And I'm like, why is that showing up still? So it's a little loophole in Instagram where I'm like, oh, I don't want to see this, you know? And it's still somehow making it into my feed because of that. It's to the point where I'm like, do I stop following BuildUpDevs now? You know, the thing we started, do I stop? You know? Niha says, and restrict feature to avoid toxic people as well. Okay, yeah. Travis says, for sure, the restrict feature seems like it could be really helpful. What's the restrict feature? Am I understanding that correctly?
It might be, it's the app limit thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Is that
no,
what it's
no.
officially called?
Is it restrict? Oh, okay. That's a new. I didn't see it yet, but maybe you can just restrict accounts on Instagram. I think it's about. I haven't used it, so I'm just not going to say anything more.
Oh, okay. I'll have to
But
look
it's not.
into that.
Yeah, it's not same as blocking or muting. It's something different.
Okay. Travis says a self-taught doctor. Haha, yeah. Who let us know in chat. Who would go to a self-taught doctor? Yes or no? Answer in chat. Robert Table says, is there a 6-month boot camp for doctors? Can you imagine? Pranav says, so here's something which is annoying me. The stream is only loading when I set it to 480p, but when I drop down to 360p, then it starts loading the stream and never loads. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, Pranav. I don't know if it's necessarily the limitation of this new service we're using today. Based on what's happening right now, I feel restricted in what I'm capable of doing with the stream, like from what I normally have. I think I'll probably for next week go back to using my normal approach to having guests, or, multiple hosts on the stream and guests. That's kind of why I was interested in this, Dhanish, by the way. I think I mentioned this to you, but just to make sure you know and people in chat. What's great about this is there's no separate app. It's all through the browser. Like I'm streaming from my browser now. I'm not even using my normal software. So it's one less app. And then for the call between us, like it's through this app, this thing as well, through the browser. So that's another, I normally would use a separate application to do that. Like for the one that I do on Wednesdays, for folks that are familiar with that, with Cecil, we do a separate app call, and I capture that call into the streaming software. So this one will make it feels like if you're going to have more than 2 people, this is a great, and I can have up to 8, it looks like total. This is a great service to try out, and that's why I wanted to experiment with it. And that's why this is episode 0 too, because it's kind of let's wrinkle out some things ahead of time before we get deep into the rest of the Build Up Dev live. So sorry to hear that, Pranav, but I'll keep that feedback in mind, and thank you for letting us know. Musical Bookworm says, you don't kind of go through med school. My wife's a pediatrician. You sacrifice all your time and yeah, I'm sorry for using that word. You sacrifice all your time and study for 4 years of med school and at 3+ years of residency with ridiculous workouts. Yeah, no, I totally understand the gravity of that situation and what it takes. Fab says, I got to go somewhere. We'll catch the remaining stream later. It was great interacting with you guys. Looking forward to future live streams. See ya. All right. Thanks, Fab. Appreciate you popping in here. Travis says, it's for comments. The restrict feature is for comments. You can restrict people from commenting on your post. Oh, okay, cool. And I'm finally catching up on all the chat messages. Robert Table says, Clarky, a question for both of you. So we have talked about the dangers of social media. Have you seen positive examples of developers building each other up or helping in other ways? I have some thoughts in mind, but I feel like I am chatty Cathy over here. So Dhanish, what are your thoughts on Robert Table's question there?
Yeah, we have seen many examples. I mean, since we are coming from Instagram, we connected with many people that we talk to on daily basis. So, and you become friends. You share some of the stuff, personal stuff, and mental health also is a very big topic that we can talk about in the future. But some people go through depression and they have no one to talk sometimes. So I've helped some of the people, just helping them, just talking to them, making sure that they just don't do something drastic, and hopefully the conversation will help them calm down, maybe get back and like find the motivation that they had lost. So I've done that a few times. Some people have done it for me, so that's a good thing.
Mhm.
And other than helping on the mental health issues, you have people with who want to who have been working on on a project for a long time, and they just want to show it to everyone, but they don't have the audience. So
Yeah.
with my followers that I have, I will often share their projects and share people should just check this out, and maybe it's a good thing. So I've done that. What else have we done? Um,
I've learned
Helping
a
them.
lot.
Yeah, I've learned
Right.
a lot. Contributing to people's projects as well. Uh, so I do that every often. People have contributed to my project. You have done with the VS Code, and like VS Code might be the biggest project that I have. Many people contributed on that one.
Mhm.
So those are some of the positive things that I have seen and experienced. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, you hit a lot of the points that were coming to mind for me. I like the biggest example, if I'm being honest, and I'm not trying to, I don't know, be all like weird about this, but like you and I became friends through the whole situation. You know what I mean? Or Robert Tables, you and I became friends through Twitch, kind of thing. Like that, I think that's been the most positive and impactful experience I've seen with social media. Like the like over indexing on that side of things for having a good experience on social media. At the same time, you can very easily go the other way where there's negative. But the positive of it is definitely been just the friendships and bonds that have grown with people. And two examples right there that I shared. The other thing is like as I was mentioning with while you were sharing, Dhanish, is learning. So like for instance, um, I can't promote her enough, but Samantha Ming on Instagram does a fantastic job of sharing educational content in the developer community on Instagram. Like, I don't know, and I don't know if everybody. It's hard to catch everybody's content on Instagram as it is, but like, I have not seen anybody put content out as frequently and as of high quality that's like super informative. I've learned so much from her. I have not seen anybody do that at her level. And in fact, let's make sure I share her link as well. Um, and I met her on Instagram. Like I came across her content on there, and it's like amazing JavaScript related content, CSS, all kinds of stuff, all educational. And yeah, like that's been the other positive aspect of social media for me is just like learning and seeing the awesome work and like learning from other like from her, seeing how she's approaching sharing her content because I like sharing educational content as well. I'm like that's a model for me to like see. I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, that's like try to tear her down, right? I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I need to level up my game so that I can be as helpful as she has been for me to maybe other people and pass it on, kind of thing, right? So that's another example, I think, of the positive impact, and I hope that helps answer the question, Robert Tables. Musical Bookworm says, Clarkio, your earlier comments about reading emotion in text were spot on. My comment about med school should have included a kappa. No worries. Was laughing at your kind of statements, not criticizing. Yeah. No, I know. I figured that you've been around enough to where Musical Bookworm, where I've seen like kind of your personality a little bit through text messages and chat that I took it that way, luckily. So yeah, no worries. But thank you for clarifying too. Pranav says, yep, recently Samantha did a 30-day Flexbox series. Yes, highly recommend checking out her site or her posts. And she's on Twitter, Instagram, but where I follow the most and see most of her content is on Instagram there for me personally. I think that about does that. What's up, Bauer? My dog is looking like he wants to go out. Oh, I'm gonna say OUT. Shoot. Can you give me a few more minutes, bud? Okay. Okay. Good. Um, do we have anything else that we wanted to cover, Dhanish? Do you have anything that's on your mind that we should still
No,
clear
not
up?
really. Just that we'll be here every Thursday, uh,
Yes.
10 a.m. Eastern time.
I should have thought of this ahead of time. I got to make a command. So I don't know if you're familiar with this as well. There's commands that you can do in chat that are pretty standard ones that will help share things or respond to. And like, so you can see I have one that shares all my links to my stuff. I need to
Yeah.
create one for your accounts so that we can help share a way for people to connect with you on social media. So if you don't mind posting your links in there so that people can get those. And then once you do that, I'll capture all of them and put them into a command that makes it nice and easy, where I can just say, I'll make the command Dhanish. Bam, like that. Get that going. All right, so while Dhanish is doing that, oops, I accidentally opened up the stream, I guess. While Dhanish is doing that, if any of you have any more questions or things that you'd like us to answer before we wrap up, that'd be, let us know in the chat. Otherwise, we hope you got some value out of this today. The whole point today really was to introduce you to this series that we're doing. It's going to be less technical, more of like the social aspects of being developers in the industry, in this community. And so that's what we're going to be doing. And it's very much driven by topics that you all want us to discuss. So that's how we did that on Instagram when we were doing Instagram lives. We let the community kind of decide, hey, I'd love to get your opinion on this topic within the industry, right? Like, I'm looking to understand what's the best way to present myself for getting a job and interviewing, right? Or something like that. Any of those things, if you have interest in a topic that we would discuss on the show, let us know. Otherwise, we're going to actually rehash a lot of the ones that we've done in the past that we were doing on Instagram right here on the new platform, Twitch, for this, so that we can get those properly recorded and chopped up and turned into podcast and whatnot. Excellent. Thank you, Dhanish, for sharing that. So there you go, folks. In the chat room, Dhanish shared all of his accounts so you can get connected with him and find out more about Dhanish, who will be joining us every Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We have daylight savings coming up here, by the way. So just keep that in mind as well. I think our time difference is going to be slightly altered from that, right? Do you change time zones? Okay.
You do.
Yeah. Okay. So keep that in mind. If there's any updates to the schedule, we'll be posting those on all social media to let you all know ahead of time. And there is a Discord server. Discord is a great way to have that continuous conversation as a group, as a community. The invite to that is right there in the chat room from Stream Elements. So if you would like to continue keeping in touch with myself or Dhanish in a format like that, that's a little bit better. Maybe you're not on those other social media platforms. This might be the way you'd like to go. And a lot of the people you see in the community here are there, and we help each other out, talk about a lot of the stuff that we're going to be talking about here on the show. All right. Pranav says, super pumped for this series. I'm glad to hear that, Pranav. Thank you for being here and your support. Robert Table says, Clarkio, I'm really excited about this, especially since I don't use Instagram. So how should we submit topics to you? Just hit us up, whatever. Like, I know you and I talk on Discord a lot, so if that's probably the best way. And then Dhanish and I we have a document that we add to and we'll be referencing for those kind of things. So hit me up or hit up Dhanish, and we'll make sure to get it added to the list of topics for us to cover in a future episode. Niha says, live stream about how to prepare for an interview, beginner. Okay, cool. Let's make note of that one from Niha. I think we do have that one. We have covered it before. A lot of the stuff we have discussed on the show, but just on Instagram. So Travis says, love it. Thanks, guys. Thank you for being here, Travis. Appreciate that. Pranav says that would be super helpful. Okay, there you go. And Dupless says, hey, what's up, Clarkio? Hey, what's up, Dupless? Thank you for joining us. We are wrapping up right now. So just a heads up on that. But we will be right back here next Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. And we'll announce what the topic is. We'll figure that out next week. So today was just about getting everything started and introducing the topic to everybody. And next week we will have a more focused kind of conversation around a certain topic. Okay?
Yeah.
Dhanish, we ready to go? Ready to get out of here?
Yeah.
All right. So thanks everyone for joining us. Stick around for just another moment. We're going to go raid somebody in the community. If you're not familiar with what a raid is, I imagine, Dhanish, you're gonna get to see this now if you're watching the stream. If you go to twitch.tv/Clarkio, you'll see it that way. We're gonna go raid somebody that is streaming right now in the community. I would like to raid InstaFluff today. That's what we're gonna raid. So what's going to happen is we're all going to go over and start watching another stream. InstaFluff is working on some other. What is he doing today? He is building a highlighted message overlay and clean bot. So there you go. He does a lot of JavaScript related stuff. So if that interests you, stop on over there. Give him and his community a warm welcome. Say hello from Dhanish and I. and have a good rest of your day. Whoa. Hey, Robert Tables, thank you for gifting that sub to Dhanish. Sorry, the alerts weren't going off for me. All right, folks, we're going to do that. I'm going to roll the end credits, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks. See you.
Thank you. Let's see if this works, switching scenes here.